The stock market continues to get hit, but you've had a little bit of a brim of hope. And it looks like Donald Trump is saying that, look, I'm not going to let the market crash. I'm not going to let things go bad. And that is where we're at right now. But we need to understand what he's doing and why. Because again, we had NVIDIA earnings earlier this week, and it looked like that was the pivotal point. But then the Fed came in and made some pretty bad statements. So we have a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about, and a lot to break down. Let's get to it. Now, the first thing that I will say is let's zoom out to SPY really quick and understand where we're at here. Okay, if you zoom out, you go to something like the daily chart, you can really see that you are at a major level of support, like we've talked about, on 654 down to 652. This is a major line of defense, not to mention your 100-day moving average is right there as well, which is where you're bouncing. So also worth mentioning, we're talking about, and then obviously if we get some aggressive selling, we're looking down to the 200 SMA, but let's not go there yet. Let's not get sad here. Let's get serious. Okay. So let's hide that for a sec so we can see, but ultimately you're finding buyers at that level. Now I will say you weren't really finding that aggressive of buyers here on the day until we got some news from Donald Trump. And this is where things get a little bit crazy because Donald Trump again said, guess what? The United States is considering letting NVIDIA sell the H200 chips to China, even though literally a week ago he said, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that's not going to happen. And now we're back at the point. You need to understand Donald Trump is at this point where I personally don't think he's going to let the market crash. And if it does crash, it's not going to be the lack of Donald Trump trying to save the market. Again, is this manipulation? I don't know. I'm not getting in the middle of it, but we look at what's happening and it's very clear. Donald Trump is looking at this and saying, look, what can I do to get things going? You also had literally Jensen Huang come out and say, look, if we would have missed on earnings, the market probably would have collapsed, which is that a bubble? Let's not talk about it, but that's really important to understand as well. And I don't find it coincidental that Jensen says that, and then literally within 6 hours, Trump comes out and is like, you know what, we might start selling this. But again, this is all, smoke. Let's not get crazy here yet. This is just Trump saying stuff, and he likes to say a lot. He really loves talking. We know that, okay? So important to know if this does come out and he does, start letting us sell or NVIDIA sell to China. Number one, NVIDIA will again be the greatest long of all time. Then number two, the market probably gets a lot of love off of that. I'm just going to tell you right now because NVIDIA, they're projected to do $500 billion by the end of 2026 in revenue. What does that number go to? They can sell to China, which is basically like, another. It's a massive market, the second biggest market out there next to obviously the United States. So important to understand that right now. Now, before I go too far too, I'm going to go into what the Fed has said, and I wanted to show a picture of Lisa Cook just so we all know who to blame for all this. But I want to say right now, if you want to get the major deal right now on TradingView, this is their Black Friday, so it's the biggest sale they'll have. All of the link will be the first link down below. Again, I always go at premium just because it makes the most sense. But if you want to go with essential, you can do that as well. The plus makes no sense. Again, like I paid for this. It's $200. You're literally saving. It's basically like you're paying for 4 months of TradingView. It's the best deal you're going to get. Letting you know right now. Makes the most sense. And you get like a free month added on to it. So yeah, do what you got to do. The link will be down below. Appreciate it as well for supporting the channel. Now, let's talk about where we're at. And again, I promise I'm going to go to the charts. I'm going to break it down. So again, if you were in yesterday's video, I'm not going to cover this, in depth again, but I just want to highlight, right? It's very important to understand the things that Lisa Cook was saying is almost taking a shot at what was happening from AI and these large cap stocks, right? Specifically talking kind of under hints of like NVIDIA. High valuations of stocks, corporate bonds, and housing leverage loans increase the risk of sharp market declines. And even though the financial system remains resilient and there's no real reason to be concerned yet. I want to highlight the market wasn't concerned until Lisa opened her mouth. She then added that AI could both improve and destabilize the markets, talking about the employment market, okay? And then obviously, and I do want to give an update to hear about Fed rate cut expectations. Now, again, if you go look on Polymarket Call Sheet, the percent chance of a rate cut happening in December went from basically 80% all the way down to like 35 to 40%, and it's kind of dropping as we speak. So important to understand that. However, you did see some Fed members come out today and say, hey, we're not going to put it off the table, kind of put some hope out there for everybody, okay? But it is worth mentioning so far, jobs data has been really solid. Okay, the jobs data we got from September, even though it was like the White House is manipulating and rigging all this, I love how people like everyone becomes like a professional like news reporter overnight. It's so awesome, even though everyone was wrong about that. So again, jobs data came out good, worth mentioning there as well. So that's where we're at right now. Very important to understand that. And she went into detail about all this other stuff as well. Also, Bitcoin is still absolutely ass. It's getting torched. It's not finding any support. And by the way, guys, I never really say this at all, but I do appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. It helps out a ton. I think it's like a 60-40 split right now, meaning 60% of the people that watch the videos are not subscribed, 40% are. It helps out a ton. As you can see, I make 2 videos a day, typically 1 video on the weekend a day. But again, so you can see we do deep breakdowns of obviously the stock market, what's happening intraday, and at the end of the night, I usually make a video going over one specific stock that I like, or stocks that overall I'm buying that are dedicated on investing, leaps, options, things like that. So giving you a deeper insight. Again, I try to make as much free content as possible. I appreciate it. Let's get back to the video. That's the main thing out there right now. Now, I'm also going to say, guys, if you want to get more updates, the Twitter is probably your best source for all this stuff. Again, I post charts throughout the day there. I post major setups. And it's funny enough, one of the biggest setups we've been talking about on Twitter for you guys, free game as always, has been Microsoft, going back on November 18th when we talked about this, the double top. Again, we were targeting down towards 470. It was posted on there for you. Do what you got to do. Now let's get back to the juicy stuff, okay? Now, again, when we're going in here and we're looking at SPY, again, it's important that we don't overcomplicate. It's important that we don't get crazy. Because again, it's the same visual. When we started holding below the 50-day moving average, well, what happened? Sellers got aggressive. Who would have thought? But again, you had to start seeing a strong close, lower lows being established, and ultimately all those signs were there for us. Now, it's at this next support of around 654 to 653. If we start breaking below the 100 MA and getting below the 652 support, you have to assume we start getting hit once again. And I'll say right now, the next real line of support isn't going to be down here until like 646, possibly even lower. Okay, so worth mentioning, maybe even like 640 down here as well. You got some pretty big levels we're going to be watching there. Going into QQQ Tech, and I'm going to show you something here on Tech that's going to be pretty concerning. But again, let's look at this. You're breaking below, and you did break below the 100 MA right there, but you came down to our level here, like we mentioned, 583.5. We weren't really targeting the 100 MA, but again, still a big level there. Came down to it, finding buyers so far. Okay, again, what we're looking for, why we're looking for it, and again, I have a feeling if we start breaking down here, it's going to get ugly. Again, looking down all the way towards here, right about there, 560 roughly would be my next major point. 560, 561. Again, that would be a tough pill to swallow. Okay, very important while we're looking at it, everything in between there. Okay. That's where we're at right now. But again, there's no reason to start freaking out because again, we haven't broken that. It's the same thing and the same setup from back here. Like we said, you start breaking the 50 MA, you're going to get trade opportunities, you're going to get setups, you're going to be able to make money, worth mentioning, okay? Now also too, I forgot to give a highlight to this, but if you guys also want to see what we're trading throughout the day, how we're trading, etc., the Discord link is down below. You get access obviously to what we're doing with futures. I give you the whole chart rundown, everything we're looking at there, all of our trades and setups. And today we had a monster setup today. We literally only took one. I took 2 trades, but I ended up getting out of 1 because I was just happy with the first trade and I was done. Nvidia looking for weakness. AMD's the big watch here. Underneath 203, we're looking all the way down towards 187. But I ended up closing this trade around a 195. I was talking about it in voice chat as well. It was really beautiful. This thing went straight towards the ground. Our other trade was Netflix to the downside, but again, it was just moving so slow. But again, made money there as well if you ended up holding on to it. So worth mentioning that. Now again, all that is in the Discord links down below. Black Friday sale as well. So check it out while you can. But again, we won't have monthly sales, so just to let you know. It'll just be quarterly and yearly, just to give you a heads up. Now, going into the market, what do we want to see? Where are we at? Where are we going? As a whole, okay, I need to understand where the ETFs are. Let's start with XLK. This is our tech ETF. And again, tech continues to show weakness. Let's go to something like the 2 hours so you can see. So not only are you breaking below the range that we were operating in, which we talked about, we'll go into SMH semiconductors here in a second, but you're breaking down and now you're kind of retesting and looking to reject. And we're not there yet. We still have around an hour left in the day. But if you get below the 100 MA and hold below 274, it's a nasty looking chart. I'd be watching this very closely. I could see this thing getting killed. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. You have some support down here at 266, 267, but ultimately I could see us ranging down towards 260. But again, the rejection is what we don't like. The next one is SMH semiconductors. And again, I don't like what I'm seeing right now. Because again, you're finding support near the 100 MA, but the ugly part is that you're coming back into our range. And again, we've been talking about the same range for a while now. If you've been tracking our videos, things along those lines. You broke below, you came to 100 MA, you're coming, you're retesting. And again, this is how we trade. You're coming, pause. Again, this is what you love to see. The break, the retest, and ideally the continuation towards target of around 300, give or take. So again, when I look at what's really been carrying us as a whole in the market, I don't love what I'm seeing because again, you're getting signs of, yeah, we're getting a bounce, but we're not getting continuation. And when we look at what's happening with these ETFs like XOK and SMH, and whether you want to admit it or not, tech and semiconductors have been what's held this market together and got us to where we are right now. If those start showing extreme weakness, it's going to get ugly. It's gonna be gross. So again, it's worth mentioning, worth being honest with ourselves of where we're at and how we're moving. As bullish as I've been over the past few months, you're finally getting signs of, okay, selling could get aggressive here. So if I'm looking at buying options, especially with the idea of holding overnight, I want to have a lot of time on my contracts. I would at least 6 months in my personal opinion, so I'm not getting torched. And I know a lot of you are like, well, that's too expensive, this and that. Well, then just in my opinion, there is no trade plan or trades to be taking over like the next medium term of like holding overnight. If you're trying to day trade, that doesn't really make any sense. So it's a lot of getting in and getting out of the money. Like I've been saying, protecting your capital. Because again, you know, where you make the big bucks, in my opinion, in the market is having those swing trades, having those longer dated setups, at least for myself. And I like to just be as honest as possible when I'm talking about this. So again, those are really important things to be focused on it and understand what's happening in the market. So again, as of right now, you know, we're still just rejecting from some of these major levels. Even when I go into NQ here and I show you what's happening on futures, again, you're getting above the 100 MA, but now you're rejecting back down. You know, this might give us some short-term relief from the idea of NVIDIA being able to sell chips, but this, like I said, it's just smoke. It's nothing, you know, it's not actual like news, right? Trump is just saying stuff. If this actually goes to infect, then I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to start slamming dated calls on NVIDIA or just buying shares like crazy. But until then, I'm like, this is kind of scary. Trump is just saying shit to try to get the market back up. But I will say Trump is definitely showing the hand of like, look, guys, he definitely wants the market to go up. Okay. We have to understand who Trump is and what he's doing. And some people don't like when I talk about politics, but again, if I'm talking about politics here, it's about making money in the market and using just rational thinking. Trump is arguably one of the most egotistical presidents that we've ever had in the United States history. You can say it's a bad thing, a good thing. I don't really care. But what I will say is it's been very clear that he wants the market to go up. Okay. And it's even more clear that he literally told us last time when to buy, not once, but actually twice. He literally tweeted out on True Social or whatever the hell and said, guys, I'd be buying stocks right now. And within 24 hours, the market was rocketing. So will he do that again? I don't know, but he definitely like gets off to this idea of being the best market in the world. And I think that he would literally open up sales to China to do that. So it is a possibility. Let's be looking out for it. But again, until news gets solidified and he starts moving this stuff, important to understand. Okay. So very big there. Now, as far as technically speaking, what you want to see is you want to see higher lows start to develop on, SPY, ES, and Q. And right now you're making, again, lower lows and lower highs like we've talked about. Now, giving you a visual of what that means so you can see. So the very definition of a downtrend is something like this, right? Which is what we're doing. You make a low, you make a lower high, you make a lower low, you make a lower high, and then so on, so on, so on. That's the definition, and that's kind of what we're doing in the medium term here, okay? Now, I wouldn't say it's a long-term downtrend that's developed, but again, you can see what's happening, and today, again, you made a lower low, right? Even though the market doesn't look that bad. So again, you make your high here, you make a low here, you make a lower high here, and so far, you're making any other lower low down here as well. But again, you can see even here, right? You try to put in a low, and then you try to break the highs, but ultimately, you're pushing right back down. This is not a pretty sight. This is not what you really want to see from buyers. Again, we need to start seeing us hold the 50 MA, pushing back into 674 to really get bullish. But until then, again, we're up in the air. And that's where you're looking at something like NVIDIA off this news. Now, NVIDIA, again, was getting crushed today down to 174. $10 bounce is awesome. But at the end of the day, you're rejecting right at your key level of 184, the same level we keep talking about. Okay, that's on a 5-minute time frame. If you zoom out to the 2-hour, you can see, again, the 184 level has been an absolute brick wall. I mean, it looks like me after I slam 4 blue chews. It looks like I'm about to run through a freaking brick wall and do some damage, maybe make another miles. I don't know. But again, you can see all the rejections there as well. So again, it's a major and significant level, very, very clear. So that's where we're at now. If we start holding below 180, I think things could get ugly, but I still think NVIDIA is going to be one of the top plays. It still does look a little bit like an overreaction, but worth mentioning where we're at now. Now, as far as stocks, plays I like the most, looking at the market, what I want to trade, what I want to buy. Again, I'll tell you right now, semis are in a really tough spot, so I wouldn't be going short dated on anything. Again, you're still rejecting, so I'd be respecting that. But I would be watching AMD. AMD below 214 is just inherently really weak. Below 203, again, you're looking back down and ultimately towards the 100 daily moving average, and then ultimately into 187, 188 as well. So ideally, that's what you would like to see for a continuation to the downside. It's probably one of the weaker looking semis, even though I think they're a solid stock right now as well. Important to understand that. I would still say Meta, as long as it stays below 601, is a concern. However, you're making this very, very strange range going back down to like basically 584 to 582, and you're just finding buyers on repeat down here. It's actually been one of the better trades, which is crazy. I haven't taken it, but Jordan's talked about it a lot in Discord. You basically go down, you retest, go down, you retest, go down, and trying to retest again. So again, worth mentioning on Meta. If you break below 580, 582, I'd probably lean towards getting that move to 570, and then you're in your gap fill all the way down to basically 545. 550. So again, a lot of pain could ensue there. Another really weak stock right now, and you're seeing this on a lot of names. It's not just Oracle, but it is Oracle right now that's extremely, extremely weak. You know, you got below your 200 daily moving average. This is worth mentioning. This is one of your biggest levels out there. So you got below, you saw you were trying to hold support, and today you've dropped from 211 all the way down to your previous 2024 highs. Again, back at 198.5. Now you're holding there as of right now, but if you lose this level and hold below it, you got to target the gap fill at 180. Again, it's an ugly looking chart. I will say though, when I'm looking at stocks to buy, I kind of love, like I kind of love Oracle. I think this is crazy what's happening. It's just wild. So I think Oracle is going to be a really nice buy. They're still getting, the deal with OpenAI. People forgot about the TikTok deal. And they have a lot of ties obviously into Nvidia, which, could be turned or tilted as maybe bearish or a bubble, whatever. But risk to reward here on Oracle, pretty crazy and decent opportunity. Going into Microsoft, and again, this is another name here. We talked about this on Twitter, but again, coming into your previous all-time high, 470, right? You had the head and shoulder, or the double top play out almost perfectly. Back at your 200 daily moving average, 468, 470. We'll probably be posting leap options pretty soon in Discord. But again, another awesome setup. Like, this is absolutely insane where you're at and how you're moving right now. So again, you're at a lot of really big support. So I do think this is like the time where I'm looking at stocks. I'm like, okay, well, I might not be YOLOing, I might not be buying big options, but definitely dollar cost averaging makes a lot of sense to me, especially with the tone of what we're seeing from the White House and what they're willing to do to keep the market going and to stay afloat. And this is right, a mass fear in the market right now. So again, usually fear doesn't like play out well over time, but maybe it's true, maybe. So again, where we're at right now there. The one stock that's really weak here, again, is Tesla. You come down to 384 once again. It's funny, someone in Discord was like, I just trade the levels. That's all I really do here. And he went long 384 back into 400. He's like, he printed. But again, if you lose 384, looking back down to 360, big level down there. You can't really get super bullish on Tesla until you get back above 414. Gonna tell you that right now, major level there, what I'd be watching. Apple, this stock just keeps on keeping on. I mean, this is actually the craziest thing I've ever seen here. The market's literally in like turmoil, but Apple is just sitting at all-time highs, having the greatest time of its life. So yeah, Apple looks amazing. Going into something like Google, Google's probably it probably is the best looking stock in the market right now, better than Apple. Pretty amazing. They are topped OpenAI as far as ChatGPT, and their Gemini is the best AI as of right now. Really crazy that Google was kind of, in my opinion, lagging when it comes to AI, and they're taking their rightful spot at the top, right? This was the biggest shock of 2025, 2024 for me, but still finding some buyers there, what we're looking at. The one area of the market, again, that's finding nothing, in my opinion, and it just looks absolutely atrocious, is crypto. Again, you came down to our demand level that we mentioned in yesterday's video, and we've been talking about. So that's neat, but ultimately, crypto looks terrible. You're just not finding buyers. Like, that's the story here on crypto. And I would really wait for the end of the day candle to form out before you even make any assumptions here. But that's the bad part of crypto. There's just no buyers out there whatsoever. Like, you're just going down. This is clearly underperforming the stock market, like clear as day. I'm going to Ethereum. I would say Bitcoin looks worse than Ethereum, but still coming down to your support down here as well. Like we mentioned, like 2,500. So again, it's just a brutal looking chart. Solana's down here near support as well too at 130 once again. So that's nice. But again, I'd be very careful when it comes to crypto. And I'm not saying crypto is bad to buy. You can make money on crypto. I 100% believe that. But just understand when you're going long on crypto, the risk and what you're putting out in the market. I think you have to be okay with like, okay, this shit could drop 50%. I'm going to get stuck holding. And I know a lot of you guys, you might be investors. You might just look and be, some of you guys want to make money overnight and get rich quick. I don't know, right? I say it, tell you all the time, it's not a good representation of the channel. I'm never going to push that idea. But what I will say is crypto is the riskiest asset out there. I've said it for a long, long time. People want to say it's disconnected from the stock market. It is not. Again, it follows the stock market 9 out of 10 times. So worth mentioning there. See you guys in the next video. I'll have a video later tonight on a deep breakdown of a stock. We'll see what it's going to be.